We'll call ourselves to order. Thank you for coming this evening. At this point, if you'll rise and join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Join the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll call roll at this time. I'm present. Dr. O'Neill?
Present.
Mr. Heater?
Present.
Mrs. Barnes-Griffin?
Present.
Mr. Irvin?
Present.
Mr. Lowe?
Present.
Dr. Washburn?
Present.
I mixed it up again. Dr. Reynolds, your report.
Yeah, I'll be brief. But have some exciting news. We are getting ready to launch our advertisement for the Freshman Academy at Central High School. We're very excited about the work that Chris and his team and Carrie and Eric have put into building an outstanding model, which we think will be a game changer for Muncie Central High School. So we're getting ready to launch a campaign that features Mr. Walker and his team, and maybe a video featuring some cartoons and just some outstanding script. It's a pretty exciting adventure that we're ready to get out there to start talking about the next school year. I think we feature Mr. Walker in our latest media blitz on Wolf Boom Radio to talk about a freshman academy and how we believe that building that community as freshmen, their freshman year, will make a tremendous impact in their high school career. Like to congratulate Northside Middle School choir department. They've won the All Music Award from the Indiana State School Music Association. That's from receiving the highest rating in the most advanced categories, competition categories in the choral department, including concert choir, jazz, and solo and ensemble. Wanted to remind folks that enrollment is still going on across the district. While all the forms do roll over for next year, if you're currently here, we do ask that all of our families enroll or log back into the system through the enrollment portal to ensure that forms and contacts and numbers are and contacts are still up to date and accurate. Again, I think I mentioned last time, this is just my favorite time of the year, aside from marching band season, that we're just wrapping up just the year of activities where you get to see the showcase of a year's worth of work in school, where kids are performing on the athletic fields and on stages and in even assessments. I think we are able to showcase the progress that we're making. So again, get out, enjoy some of to see the real work of what that you folks do every day as our school board. So want to thank all of our teachers for their hard work and everything they do. And then finally, I'd like to introduce Jeff Holloway, our athletic director at Muncie Central, who will also be our new boys basketball coach, as recommended. As an internal candidate, it's a little different than we're going to meet somebody else this evening, but our internal candidate, like our new volleyball coach, where it's an appointment, a building level appointment, so that won't necessarily come in front of the board for a formal approval, but certainly want to thank Jeff for stepping up and excited for him to lead the Bearcat basketball team along with our athletic department.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway. I'm looking forward to it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you want to be heard? Would you like to be heard?
So we had Mr. Holloway come up and speak during the state of the schools, and he's like, hey, listen, I didn't want to come up here, and they made me come up here and speak. I'll just keep it brief. And I think 30 minutes later, we pulled him off the stage.
So that's my cue to keep it brief. I wasn't gonna come up here until you kind of gave me that look. So I came. I just want to say thank you to all you guys. I take a kind of kid-centered approach to everything that I do, and so I said I do whatever's best for kids. And I appreciate the opportunity to do this because I think like it never leaves. I think basketball, I love it, and even though I stepped away from it, it's still close to my heart. So I'm excited. Kids are excited. And I think I'm ready to move forward. I actually just came from the gym. We had open gym today and workouts and came straight over here. So I just want to thank you guys and let you know that I'll do my best and, get these kids excited to be Bearcats again.
Well, we're excited about you leading the Bearcats and boys basketball. And if there's anything that we can do for you as that process unfolds, understanding that you're going to be wearing a couple hats.
Right.
And I've talked to Dr. Reynolds
Right.
about giving you anything you want.
I appreciate it. Not anything, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, within reason. But you're one person,
Yeah,
and so reach out and let's figure a way to
I will.
make sure you don't get run ragged and you don't get people chewing on you like a sled dog in the Yukon.
You know how it is. I know how it is.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No. So again, thank you. We're looking forward to it, and we wish you the very best next year.
Thank you. Dr. Reynolds, how was that on time today?
That's
Good.
pretty good, Jeff. You must be tired.
Yeah. I do want to go back on the advertising of the Freshman Academy. You caught my attention. And cartoons?
Yep. So we're working. Andy is working with a media production group or a publicity organization to make caricatures of maybe a principal that looks similar to Mr. Walker and our buildings. Then the kids are going to tour the building, and it is really outstanding.
Okay. Well, we will stay tuned, and we'll all look forward to that. Any additional questions for Dr. Reynolds? Okay, thank you for your report. This is a great time of year at Muncie Schools, and there is a lot going on that's really very interesting and enriching. So on public comments, Mr. Yenser, you had signed up, but it's my understanding the bulk of your comments regard the public hearing that's set for later in the session, so we're willing to let you go at that time.
I just wanted to remind the public here that they're watching about the $19 million project with the field house and how it will impact the community. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to the consent agenda, and I believe we have some individuals here who have been hired. Is Mr. Bresh. So did you have some brothers that went to Wabash College? Yeah. Okay, come on up. Yeah. Kyle, right?
Yes,
And my understanding is you are going to take over the reins of the football program. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Well, we're just tickled to have you. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, just truly humbled and honored to be given this opportunity to lead Bearcat football and be a part of Muncie Schools and teach PE as well. I'm convicted in who I am and our process for our football program to take it to new heights. And, I believe the foundation is there, and just really excited to bring a buzz and to hold our kids accountable, have them do the right things, and see the success and the fruits of the labor that come with that. So I'm just truly honored on behalf of me and my family of being able to live in the community, work in the community, and make a difference and an impact in these kids' lives.
Well, we are just so excited for you. And you went to Franklin, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the public address announcer at Wabash, I think, pronounced your brother's last name a little differently.
Yeah.
But did he make a did he force a fumble in a game against North Central?
No, I was probably coaching against Wabash College during that time. My oldest brother played soccer at Wabash.
Okay.
So those three, there's actually no relation, but
No
I coached
relation.
against them
You coached
when I was
against-
at Wheaton College.
At Wheaton?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, we're not going to hold that against you. And you want to introduce your family for us?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife back here, Cynthia, the little stinker is Bo. He is 3. Aniston is 11 years old. Avery is a 11-year-old. They're twins, if you cannot tell. And so just extremely excited
Well,
for
this
our
is,
family.
this is like old home week for me. Cynthia's maiden name was Schwagman.
Yes.
And her dad was a fantastic basketball player for the Union County Patriots back in the mid-'70s. So,
You just made his life.
yeah. Well,
I can't wait to tell him.
Yeah, you tell Tom,
Be real excited about that.
you tell Tom, and specifically this. They played Rushville in the 1976 regional
Tell him I won't remember.
in the first game, and we went up 4-0. And I remember Tom jumping off the bench, and he got a lot of air. He was not playing. He jumped off the bench. So, no, I've known the Schwagmans for a long, long time, and the whole family. So you are certainly with friends here, and we look forward to having you this coming season. And again, same thing I told Coach Holloway. If there's something the board can do for you, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you guys for this
Thank
opportunity.
you very much. Okay, you didn't expect that, did you?
Well, I'm embarrassed that I didn't expect it, because I should have.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. The consent agenda. Any additional? Oh, one more. Who else? Tara. Bond, come on up. I apologize. Come on up. Tara, maybe I know some of your family.
I don't think you do.
You're the new master teacher,
I am. I'm a
And-
master teacher at Southside Middle School.
Southside Middle School.
Yes.
Congratulations. I heard about
Thank you.
your interview when it happened, and people were blown away.
Great.
So I don't know if they told you that, but that made it up to me. So,
Wonderful.
and I think that's the first time that's happened. So,
Well, great.
which doesn't say anything about anybody else.
Well,
Tell us,
I'm very excited.
tell us about yourself.
I have been in education for about 20 years now. I feel like my background and my experiences are very well suited for this position. I feel like I've been just building straight to this position. I've been in middle school. I have been working through student-centered coaching, and I feel like I can really contribute and support the students at Southside well this year.
Where were you just prior to this position?
This year, I've been working as a training support specialist at the Indiana Literacy Cadre through
Okay.
CEL and IDOE.
Great, great. Well, we are pleased to have you, and Southside needs people like you, and we're looking forward to seeing great things in the years to come. So thank you very much, and welcome to Muncie Community Schools.
Thank you.
We ready to go to the, okay? That's okay. No, please, correct me anytime. The consent agenda, any additional questions or concerns regarding the matters in the consent agenda? We have a motion from Mr. Heater. Do I hear a second? Second from Mrs. Barnes Griffin. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have the financial report. Mr. Jerome?
Yes, thank you. Included in your board packet is our financial information for the month of April. Just a couple items to note. Obviously, we're only 4 months into the 12-month calendar year. I'll make a note about the state basic grant revenue, now listed about $47.9 million. That now includes the textbook rental, the TBR, and normally that came to us separately, so it makes it look like, oh, wow, we're getting an extra $700,000. Really, that's TBR. So we'll see how that plays out. I attended the Business Manager Conference last week in Fort Wayne. There's still the DOE and the DLGF down there in Indianapolis are still trying to unpack all the ramifications of the most recent legislature that ended. They'll have an actual funding formula for the next year. They'll have that for us at the end of June. So in any event, that's a brief update on that. There's just a lot of uncertainty yet as they unpack all the legislation about how that's actually going to impact schools. We did finish the month of April. Total checkbook balance was over $33 million. Obviously, that's not all in the education fund. That's split among several different types of funds. Our enrollment, most recent count was 4,872. Payrolls running behind last year just because of slightly reduced employee count. Still expect to have a cash balance in the education fund at the end of December of a little over $15 million. And we now have paying back our state loan. That's now down to $7.2 million. We're still paying that back $180,000 a month, and that ramps up in July. It goes to $185,000 a month. So all your charts and graphs you have in the normal board packet I normally distribute still shows the trend where our cash balance has continued to grow over these last several years, and that's always a positive trend. Our spending on appropriations, we know we're still tight on appropriations in the operation fund, as we have known that. Debt service fund, we've really paid no long-term debt until the months of June and December. And so that's still going on target. And that really kind of completes my report for the month of April.
Any questions for Mr. Jerome? At this point, does anyone have a sense of clarity? And I'm guessing the answer is no, a sense of clarity as to the impact on schools of SB 1?
In a room of about 500 people last week, the folks from the state that you would expect to give you some clarity just were not able to yet. It's just still so early because everything that was given to us during the legislative session was still based upon a lot of simulation and models. So I can't give you an absolute clarity on that yet. Just in talking to some folks before the meeting, a lot of assessed valuations has gone up in various counties, even in a lot of communities. So if AV goes up, more people will qualify for the tax caps, which in theory should reduce their actual property taxes. So as far as that impact on us at schools, we still have to wait a bit longer.
Okay,
So
thank you. Any additional questions?
What's odd about that, typically don't they have to do a fiscal impact?
they
Maybe-
do.
Maybe there's variables in there that you're talking about.
There's a lot of variables.
They know what the formula looks like, but the variables haven't been, okay.
Right.
I mean, my understanding from what we received was that was a very, very rough estimate of impact.
Right.
And it was an extraordinarily complex bill.
Yeah.
So I think, again, there are unknowns related to assessments.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some pieces in that bill that I think are hard. It's hard to understand for me as to how some of those calculations are going to be run. So I think some of it depends on some interpretation of language. It'll be a while.
And probably by the time we're here together for the permission to advertise on our budget for 2026, that'll be the second week of August. We'll have a lot more. We'll have more clarity, at least on what the next year will look like in terms of the AV and the funding formula for sure.
Okay.
So,
Well, if that's the case, maybe we can get a pizza.
yeah, maybe.
So I'll buy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the financial report. Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Food service contract, we have Chartwell's here, I
Yes.
believe.
We do, thank you. Yes, presented in front of the school board tonight is our permission to approve the contract for the food service management company for our 25-26 school year. And this whole process had to be watched over, followed by the DOE had to approve the whole process up front. They were on board, they watched our bid opening. They also had to approve our actual recommendation, and they had to review all of the source documents that made up the the proposals and the submitted bids from the 4 interested vendors. We had a committee of 3 administrators who reviewed the packet of information and went on the tours with the vendors, and we followed that process, and it was approved by the DOE. Our recommendation was Chartwell's, and that's what we're presenting in front of you tonight, and asking you to approve that recommendation for Chartwell's for this next school year. And I've attached, in your packet was the attached contract, which then I will execute all those documents that, there's multiple documents that I'll execute along with Chartwell's to be ready for the 25-26 school year. So every 5 years, we have to do a formal bid process. This is what the DOE tells us because it is federal funds. So
Okay.
that's our recommendation to the school board tonight.
Do any board members have questions for Mr. Jerome regarding?
Brad, you may have said, how many proposals did we receive?
We received 4 actual bids from 4 different companies, and I distributed the packet to 17 different companies. I had no idea, but those legal ads, we did them for 6 weeks. It's hard to get a gauge. The previous time we did it was 5 years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic, 2020. So March of 2020, March and April. So a little different process this time. So we
Okay.
could actually see and talk to people a little bit more. So
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? If there are no additional questions, would entertain a motion as to the food service contract.
Move to approve.
Hear a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hear a second? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. We'll look forward to working with you in the coming year. And thank you for what you've done up to now with our students and families. We appreciate all that you do and your flexibility and your services that have been good through the years. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. We're on to the family and student handbook. Is this Mr. Grimm?
It is. Good evening, President Williams, Board, Dr. Reynolds. Tonight, I would like to bring before you the 2025-26 Student and Family Handbook and Support Guide for adoption for next year. This document took a major overhaul about 5 or 6 years ago. I've been part of this committee as a building principal and also as a secondary director over the last several years. We've worked on really bringing forth some big changes. When it went to the committee this year to review, didn't have a whole lot of changes to make. It's in pretty good shape, I believe, this year for what we have done in the past. Didn't see a lot of legislative changes that would affect lots of other things, as we mentioned tonight, but not necessarily the Student and Family Handbook guidelines this year. So we just had 3 major changes, and they were more language changes. We have added the Sandy Hook Promise to our handbook, which will eventually kind of roll out and replace our school safety tip line. We still have our safety tip line on our website, but as time passes on, the Sandy Hook Promise system will replace that. We actually had 1 Sandy Hook kind of threat come through the system, so it definitely works in letting us know what is out there. So that change is in there. It's on page 2 of the handbook. It's right at the very beginning of the handbook, the language in for that. We added language for the new weapons detection system under the safety aspect of our handbook on page 36. Looking hopefully in the future to grow that outside of Central and maybe to our middle schools next. And then lastly, we added some language in the technology section on page 38 that allows our students to continue to use the Google Workspace for education and some Google services that if they don't choose to accept in the handbook, then they would lose access to some of those because we would not be able to grant them access to those services without the parents saying that kids can access it. An example of that would be like YouTube. So YouTube falls underneath that group, and students would not be able to use YouTube unless they're That's in our handbook saying that they approve that the kids are able to go to some of those Google educational sites.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Grimm? Thank you for your work on this and your committee members. Any additional questions?
That committee was, I mean, there were, you said in there, it was made up of,
Teachers, administrators, school psychologists, so different people throughout
Yeah.
the corporation. I think had somebody from each different building on there.
Okay.
One of their jobs throughout the process was to take back, when we met, that information to the building, gather input, and then bring it back to the
Awesome.
committee, so.
great, thank you.
And then on the middle schools with the safety detection system, would you be willing to have the middle schools work with you all to get an estimate for the board to begin looking at that and finding funding sources? Okay. Okay, any additional questions regarding that? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Okay. Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Dr. Bell?
Good evening, President Williams, board members, Dr. Reynolds. Tonight, we are asking that you approve the proposed changes for our employee handbook, updating it from the last edition of 2024, January of 2024, and the suggestion changes are in red, identifying the date of today, legislation be added, nimble, we're doing the nimble recruiting, the life insurance from 60,000 to 50,000. Do you want Brad to explain that?
I can explain that. That's a very unpopular one when people have to have let me say that right. We have to tax people for that. Because if the IRS rule, if you have life insurance, a non-cash benefit over 50,000, you're taxed. So it's like that complaint, we've received it for many years that I have been here, and the only way you collect, well, you have to pass away.
Yeah.
So the one way to handle that is drop it back down to 50,000. You don't have to tax anyone over that benefit. And if you need additional life insurance information or life insurance policies, you can get it obviously through the variety of sources we have in-house with, not in-house, but the companies that come in and talk to us with American Fidelity that talks to all the employees, or your own private life insurance company. So that's why we made that change, really from an administrative standpoint, and just to make it easier for employees not to have to take away money from.
Do they
employees.
tax on the increment between 50 and 60 or?
Right.
Okay.
Right, so,
So effectively, they're at their marginal tax rate,
right.
being taxed on a $10,000 annual benefit, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So it's just not having to do that anymore.
Well, that's absurd.
It's age dependent too, correct?
It's age dependent, right. If you're a younger teacher, you don't really notice the impact as much, but
As you age, it
as
becomes
you're
real.
older, it is a bigger impact.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So
Yeah, okay, so.
that's why, that was one of the things we worked out with the life insurance company, and they're gonna roll
Okay.
that out. So.
That makes sense. Anything else that's significant, Dr. Bell?
The other main difference is maybe number 9, where it is changing that from termination to retirement, at least age 55, with a max of 185 days for support staff that's hired after July 1
Okay, of 2018?
of,
Okay.
yes.
Any additional questions?
That's a decent thing, though.
Yeah, it is.
That's not 185.
Yeah, very good. Anything else? Would entertain a motion to approve the changes to the employee handbook.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Thank you. Dr. Bell, thank you for your continuing work on this and keeping it up to date. These are things that I think occasionally slip between the cracks in a lot of organizations, and I do appreciate you and your team getting that up to us every year.
Thank you.
It's one of those things that I would very easily would have passed.
And-
Later.
And if I may point out, the special note are for our custodial staff that'll start July 1. Want to make sure that they're covered under that umbrella because they're starting July 1. After this one-time onboarding of July 1, we'll do what's in the handbook currently.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll show that passed. We will proceed to the public hearing on the prospective bond issue. We are welcoming everyone to this hearing this evening to hold a project and preliminary determination on the proposed project. If you're interested in speaking of this hearing, please make sure you've signed in the sign-in sheet in the back of the room, which includes your name and address. After presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we'll ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. This notice of preliminary determination hearing was legally published as legally required, and the first preliminary determination hearing was held on April 22nd, 2025. At this time, I will turn it over to Mr. Jerome as the Chief Financial Officer of Muncie Community Schools.
Thank you. Pursuant to Indiana Code, before a school corporation may spend more than $1 million to build, repair, or alter a school building that will be financed by a lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing at which explanations of the potential value of the project to the school corporation and the community are given. Similarly, also pursuant to current Indiana Code, a school corporation must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to preliminarily determine to issue bonds or enter a lease for a project which has a total project cost in excess of a non-controlled project, or if the school corporation has a debt service fund tax rate above a certain amount. These public hearings and the adoption of the resolutions are the very beginning of the legal process. The resolutions presented at this meeting establish the maximum financial terms for the proposed project.
Okay. We will hear further now from Mr. Jerome about the process of determining and communicating the project
Okay?
and the need therefore.
Okay, thank you. What I'll do now is discuss some of the history and the process of how we got here. Through this, really over the last few years, we have issued short-term bonds to do projects in the district to improve things that we were not able to take and spend out of our operation fund that just simply did not have enough funding for that. And with that process in place, that is how we are still proposing this particular project. And what that includes are items such as making improvements in our district for such things as the boiler and HVAC, which would be air conditioning at the field house. That's a big, big improvement. We have been using for the last 2 winter seasons, rented boiler. It just didn't last long enough. 50 years on the boiler, we needed it to go about 52 years. It didn't make it. We have some other chiller needs. At Northside Middle School is in need of replacement. We also have some additional bleacher replacements also at that school. Also in the Muncie Fieldhouse, the lower arena bleachers are over 40 years old, and they present some issues for us in bleacher inspection for us each year. We have multiple door sets at Muncie Central High School. The 16 exterior door sets represent probably over 50 doors that need to be replaced. Once again, I believe those are also original doors from perhaps 1970 or 72. Those are also really just needed to be replaced. That helps with security. We have over 50,000 square feet of roofing sections throughout the district that need to be addressed by replacing those roof sections, and those are scattered through almost every school has some roof sections that need replaced. We've also included some additional items for really resurfacing of the Southside Middle School track that's in dire need of that. And yes, we still do track there. We still do events there, still have a gym class there. It's just time. It's time for that. Also there at Southside Middle School is also addressing tennis courts there. It needs to be resurfaced and redone. And the same thing goes for Muncie Central High School as well. This is the majority of those items. that we have on this particular list, I'm not saying that's an all-inclusive list, but this would be the majority of it because we have not spent money on design or specs with architects or construction manager, but these are the bulk of the items that we would like to do for this particular bond project that we discussed tonight. And it does those original estimates, not to exceed $19.8 million. That is the threshold we will stay under. Right now, we have particular current tax rate of 0.4192 is what our current tax rate is for debt service, and we're expecting that to still stay that amount for the next 2 years, when it really then falls down to the estimate is it would fall to 0.16. So we're trying to do this project and be tax neutral, where the taxpayers would not notice any impact because of this project. It is expected that we would do this particular project by selling bonds, and we would sell bonds in the fashion that was recommended to us from our bond consultants and attorneys, was we'd sell it in two pieces. Part of it would be general obligation bonds, and part of it would be as lease rental bonds. And that's just simply give us some flexibility a couple years down the road, perhaps, in case we ever had to do other projects. It's
So
just,
let me make sure.
Yes.
I understand. So it's contemplated that that there would be tax neutrality on this bond issue, meaning the tax rate would not go up.
that is correct, based on our current
And then,
rules and regs we have in place now.
and this, one of the short-term bonds would be paid off within a couple of years, and at that point, the tax rate would go down to 0.16. Is that accurate?
That is a correct statement, because we expect the tax rate to be at 0.4192 for the next 2 years of 26 and 27. And even with this project, we would expect the tax rate in 28 to go to 0.16.
And that tax rate of 4.12 is actually less than it was a couple of years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And what we have been doing with these previous projects we have done, like the most recent 6.1 million we did for the football field enhancement, that was paid off. It's like a 1-year mortgage. And the previous bond project was a 2-year
So
mortgage.
we have paid off those bonds. We have paid off the 2014 GEO bond, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we've paid off both of the bonds with regard to the enhancements on Walnut Street.
That is, at the end of this year,
At the end of
this
this year.
current project will be paid at the end of December.
Okay.
And that was a $6 million project that we paid off.
Twice.
We'll paid off with 2 payments here in 2025. So
Okay.
certainly these future bonds were structured to also take advantage of the fact that our assessed valuation potentially could go up, but it also, because of the current tax rules, that's where you guys have talked about what's going to happen to SB1. We expect AV to reduce somewhat, but for this particular project, we're still saying, and our financial consultants are saying, we'll still see significant drop because we have so much debt falling off.
Okay. Thank you. Any additional commentary at this point before we turn to public comment?
I think we're ready now for the public comment section.
Okay. We'll open this for public hearing. If you would like to speak, I believe we have one person here to speak. At this point, Mr. Yinser.
Rick Yenser, newsman and author. I've been here before on other projects where you borrowed money, paid it back. On this one, though, I don't think this is a short-term bond, and you didn't say that this is going to be short-term. Is this the 20-year?
Part of it's short-term and part of it is a
Oh,
lease
it's going to
bond.
be split between
Yeah.
the obligation and the
Yeah,
lease
that's why,
rental?
in part, why the tax rate goes down
Well,
in 2 years.
yeah, I would hope that it's short-term, because as you've said before tonight, you don't know what's going to happen. The state's already cut spending for public education. Federal government wants to get rid of public education. And again, it's all going to fall back on the hands of taxpayers here locally that are still going to have to pay for public education. I also know that this hasn't been very widely talked about. I talked to some labor people today, talked to contractors. Nobody seems to know that you want to spend 18 million on your schools, let alone do a major rehab of your HVAC work on the field house. And given the age of that field house too, I'd like a little bit more detail, because that's what some of the people I talked with, both plumbing and electrical workers union today, and they want to know just the impact of it, whether you're going to use a construction manager, how it's going to be done, and whether local labor is going to participate. Because I've noticed lately with a lot of these projects, a lot of these school corporations have adopted what others have, like Ball State, and they shut out union labor, and we all know here who built this country. It wasn't people that have just come in and done some of the work for you. In the meantime, as far as the tax rate, I'm still perplexed about what you said, that this is going to be tax neutral, given the amount of spending and amount of money that you're going to have to raise in property taxes. You know, too, which nobody ever talks about, is this 5-year bump in assessed value. And that 5-year bump in assessed value raises the taxes for a lot of people. We've already seen wild jumps in assessment around here, anywhere from 20 to 40% that nobody seems to be able to explain. A lot of property owners are still upset, and given that we are kind of in a recession now, at least that's what Mike Hicks wrote the other day, with prices going up, I'd be very careful to live within your means and try to not spend too much money at the outset until we know how the economy's going, who's going to be left here in this community, because we've seen trends too of people leaving. And if there's not new growth, whether it's business or industry, it's time to wait and see. But thank you for your time, and thanks for upholding free speech and free press.
Thank you, Mr. Yenser. We appreciate you. The boiler at the field house that went out a couple years ago was 50-plus years old. So we're looking to address that issue. The cost of HVAC and adding air conditioning is still being determined as to whether or not that's even possible. But we will need a boiler and to replace the rented boiler that's currently sitting in a semi-trailer on the premises. It is gone. I'm sorry. Thank you. The tax rate is staying tax neutral because we've continued to retire debt off of what we inherited from 2014 and what we have then rolled and paid with relative promptness. In terms of the project at hand, you will hear the vast majority of those expenses are addressing fundamental infrastructure of the corporation, roofing, doors for safety, basic necessities for heat and ventilation in those buildings. And those are being done to ensure that one of the things that you did discuss was nobody knows what the future holds. One of the things that has occurred and will continue to occur as a result of SB 1 is a fundamental squeezing of the operational funds available to school corporations throughout the state. And schools like Muncie Community Schools are Muncie, Richmond, Marion, Kokomo, Beech Grove are particularly vulnerable. And so in order to preserve fundamental infrastructure that would ordinarily come out of annual operations funds, replacing things like roofs and deferred maintenance throughout the corporation has been an essential strategic decision by our folks advising us, Baker Tilly, and this board, in an effort to reduce the pressure on the operations fund in the coming decade to 2 decades as we deal with things that keep our students safe and dry within their buildings, warm and safe within structures that don't have fundamental degradation. So that's the basis for where we are right now, and we are looking at SB1 particularly, and that has informed the scope of this consideration in this project at every step. So, any additional public comment from anyone else? Anything? Hearing no additional comment, Mr. Jerome, could you describe the project resolution?
Yes, thank you. What we have in front of us now, we have to take this separately for the attorneys. We have to do it separate, can't do it all at once. This project resolution is required when the school is planning to spend more than $1 million on a given facility or type of work. It contains the estimated hard and soft construction costs and the cost of issuance and establishes the total project cost. It also contains the estimated tax impact. And that is your preface then for your first resolution, consider the project resolution.
Okay. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the project resolution? Are there any questions or concerns regarding the project resolution? Do we need to take a roll call vote on this? Okay, thank you. If not, would entertain a motion to approve the project resolution. Mr. Lowe's moved to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Washburn. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll show the project resolution passes. Preliminary determination resolution.
Thank you. The preliminary determination resolution is required when a school is planning to finance more than a certain amount for a given facility. It contains the total project cost, the maximum annual payment, and the lease term, and other financial terms such as the estimated principal amount and tax impact.
Does any board member have any question regarding the preliminary determination resolution? If there are no questions, would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Been moved. Do I hear a second? Been seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Mr. Jerome, if
Thank
you
you.
would go through the
Reimbursement.
reimbursement resolution,
Yes,
please.
this next resolution is the reimbursement resolution, relates to the financing of the construction project. This resolution permits the school corporation to reimburse itself from bond proceeds for any cash which might be spent on the project prior to the closing on the bonds. It is required by federal tax law in order to preserve the school corporation's ability to reimburse itself. In other words, you could incur costs before you actually get to that point of selling the bonds. And this allows you just to use those bond proceeds for that project.
Okay, understood. Any questions for Mr. Jerome regarding the reimbursement resolution? If not, would entertain a motion to approve it.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, at this point, I believe that concludes our resolutions.
That's correct.
Yes, absolutely. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Jim, can I just make
may.
a couple comments? I want to commend Brad and having participated in some of the, most of the meetings with our bond counsel. There's a lot of things going on that Brad's managed, I think, really, really well. And Rick, I hope this speaks to some of your comments. You know, in an ever-increasing cost, you know, to run a school corporation with limited revenue that we have, and we talked about the assessed value and talked about property caps, but we lose 57% of our assessed value. What word am I thinking of?
The AV, the
Yeah,
property taxes.
yeah, I mean, we lose 57 or 47%
property tax
of our property tax levy because of property tax caps, which affects our school corporation a lot. But Brad, through he and his team, you know, we're bringing maintenance inside. It's going to save money. We have good partners with Chartwells, and thank you for your service to our students, because it's all about them. But to do all of that, we're borrowing on a short-term basis, which reduces the cost for us because we pay a lot less interest, to the tune of $1 million less estimated. That's a lot of money that we're trying very hard to save and still maintain the capacity, even though our tax rate could go to 16 cents. What that does is allows us to have room to maintain a tax rate neutral and still be able to do the things we may need to do. We can't operate the schools that we do without putting money back into them. And right now, the legislative landscape is very difficult for us to have money to do those things. So I just want to make sure that we recognize Brad for the hard work that he's done, because this is not an easy thing. Again, I think Chartwell's, you're in enough school corporations, you're hearing the same issues with every school corporation, and we're in a lot better place because of Brad. So I just want to say, good job.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much. We have, we don't have a motion yet on the adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll show ourselves adjourned. Anybody have any dialogue or recommendations? Anything? Graduation coming up June 2nd? You got your robes? Those of you who need robes. Okay, media questions.
Oh, yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
Graduation rates, do you have any estimate of the percentage of kids that will
Yeah.
graduate?
I don't know that we have any estimates for this year. Last year, we closed out at just shy of 90%.
90?
After we continue to accumulate graduates through September 30th.
Yep.
So we ended up close to 90% last year, which was an improvement. We're going to see improved literacy scores at the third grade level due to a lot of hard work by a lot of people. In terms of this year's graduation rate, I don't think we have any clue as to what that's going to be.
They're watching it, but there's still a few weeks left.
Yeah, yeah.
There was another issue on public education, didn't quite make the muster, although we saw in one case of wiping out a small school district here east of here. Do you what's your anticipation if the state mandates school consolidation again for smaller communities? Because that was in the budget, but it didn't get a pass. But with Union, it looks like some of the larger school districts may see a flood of people, depending on whether the state passes another mandatory consolidation like back in the 60s when the township system.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think Union had, what, 1,800 virtual students, was it 16 to 18?
They had over 6,000.
6,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are all over, right? I mean, they're not just 300 in person. So it's anybody's guess. The statute itself, as to Union, I believe the students who are in Henry County are going to Blue River, or at least that's the contemplated by the legislative language, and then the students who went to Union who live in Randolph County were contemplated to go to Monroe Central. But with open enrollment, I assume they could go anywhere. I think we're certainly prepared and would welcome students. We've got some elementary schools that are at capacity, so it would be an interesting process. I don't know, Rick. I frankly, I think the school's going to continue to look at that in terms of Randolph County has, what, 5 high schools? And, you know.
Both Henry and Randolph would be affected by the amendment that I think it called for counties of 50,000 people or less. So that would provide an exodus back here when the exodus was out there when Southside closed.
I think that's potential. I think there's also some potential for the state to take over virtual education.
Maybe.
But it's anybody's guess at this point. It's an interesting landscape.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, we have anything additional? Okay. We will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Heater, anybody want a second?
Second it.
Second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you all very much. Have a nice day.
Yes. The last 20 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Boy. We're trying to have lots of